All right, guys, we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Monday Moffcast with your host, yours truly, Moff. So, we're going to talk about something that's a little bit personal today. We're going to talk about something that everybody, I think, kind of goes through when they have their awakening or their moment and that sort of thing. And we'll get to that in just a second. I'll do like really quick housekeeping. So, 8 o'clock tonight, we have the Female Point of View dating show. We've rebranded it, renamed it. The format's going to be the same. It's going to be pretty much the same. That we've created a new Tuesday show that's going to be on this channel at 8 p.m. called Navigating Modern Dating. So that's going to be more about helping guys out navigating modern dating, asking questions, and then some of the more nuances that you don't hear just on everyday channels like this. So yeah, we'll talk a lot about the basics and the foundation and stuff like that, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the things that really talk about the nuances of like dating and relationships as far as leadership goes and how to structure your relationships and really correct a lot of guys what they get wrong, which tends to be leadership, boundaries, and frame. Like that's something that I constantly see guys messing up, where they watch this stuff, they learn all the lines, they think that they have it all figured out, and then when it comes time to kind of put their feet to the fire, they sort of crumble, and that's how they get beta ties, and that's how they fall back into old bad habits, and it's just not good for anybody. So tune in tomorrow. We've already got. If you go to the community tab here on my channel, there's a question that's like, hey, like what topics would you guys like to see? What questions might you have? So good opportunity to get some of your stuff answered live on air. We want it to be interactive, right? We want there to be call-ins. We want there to be people in the chat, having a good time and asking questions. So and that will ultimately we ultimately want to springboard people into our new community. It's not replacing the brotherhood, but it is another subset of the community called the Academy. So the Academy is helping guys build a foundation that is going to not only attract women, but also keep them around long term. And we're focusing a lot on the evolutionary psychology of attraction, and because a lot of this stuff isn't taught, like modern psychology classes, things like that. People are still like, some woman on TikTok the other day said, actually, Evo Psych has been debunked as a pseudoscience, which is complete nonsense and which is complete bullshit. Because the more stuff that I learn and the more things that I apply from Evo Psych, the more correct it is. So these are just people that don't live in the real world; they live in a fantasy world. But so that's going to be something where if you're not ready to pay the couple grand it is for the brotherhood and come on all the trips and things like that, and you just want to get into a room with similar guys that want to learn, that are going through the same stuff that you're going through, and then learn from guys that have been through it, like TC, like me, and a whole other slew of experts. And we're probably going to be bringing back, some of my generals and general shows as well, so you guys will be able to hear from them directly. But in any case, I want to get down to something that essentially every man goes through, and you don't even have to be like a red pilled guy. You don't even have to kind of unplug from the matrix, so to speak. And I'm still trying to figure out terminology that I want to use going forward, because I've kind of, if you guys haven't noticed, I've kind of shied away from, and I've kind of, not like I've disowned, but I just don't love using the terminology, because I think it's gotten so bastardized at this point that it's lost all meaning. And that's actually one of the things I want to talk to Jack Napier about. So I'm going to have him on my channel next Wednesday, the 28th. And he wrote a book and he does the Rule Zero stuff. And so he and I go way back. We used to talk back before, some things happened with certain people leaving the manosphere. And so I'm excited to talk to those guys again and just kind of share notes and that sort of thing. So in any case, at its core, bottom line, growth is painful, right? There's really nothing that you can do to grow or get better at something without going through pain at all. You can be a natural. You can pick up a baseball and be able to throw it. You can pick up weights. There's some guys that are just naturally strong that walk into a gym and that can deadlift 500 pounds. There's some guys that can just pick up a basketball and they can fucking dunk it when they're 9 years old. But for the most part, if you want to grow and get better at something, you've got to go through some sort of pain. And even guys that do have natural talent, if they want to get even better, there's really nobody out there, even the most professional, even the highest level, highest echelon of professional athletes, that get by on just pure talent alone, right? It's pure talent combined with increasing their odds by getting better, faster, stronger, etc. And a lot of that has to do when you're growing, it's not just personal growth. I mean, it's not just something where you're in a vacuum and you're getting stronger or you're getting faster, you're getting in better shape, you're becoming more charismatic, you're becoming a better leader. All of that stuff is great. All of that stuff does take time and growth and process, and it takes pain. And the pain comes from not knowing what you're doing, because humans don't like to look stupid. We don't like to look dumb. We don't like to look bad at things. We don't like to be shamed because, and it all ties back into Evo Psych, these shameful feelings, being targeted, being made fun of, being ostracized. At our core, we are still community animals. We are still extremely community and socially driven creatures. And so when we don't fit in, or when we're on the outside, or when we're not accepted and we have to fight to get in that inner circle, then somebody said something about my mic. Is my mic off? Oh, yeah, you're right. Good call, whoever that was.
It should be good now. Appreciate that. Yeah, it automatically connects to my headphones, which makes it sound like shit underwater. So good call out. Thanks. So in any case, the pain of not fitting in, it's not just I want to be accepted. It's literally like if I'm not accepted by these people, I'll be dead. Because if they don't like me, then I'm out of the tribe. And if I'm out of the tribe, I'm out in the wild. If I'm out in the wild, I don't have people to protect me or somebody to watch my six. There's predators around. There's people that are going to kill me. There's saber-toothed tigers, whatever, right? Like regardless of the modern comforts and the fact that people can survive on their own now, it doesn't mean our brains have caught up to the simple fact that we've lived a certain way for hundreds of thousands of years, and we've only started living the way we're living now for maybe 100 plus. If you talk about modern advancements, 50, 60 tops. In any case, I digress. So it's the pain of not fitting in, it's the pain of trying to fit in, it's the pain of being bad at something. We don't want to be bad at things. We look at other people that are really good and that have these skills, and they make it look so easy, and we just feel like shit about ourselves because we're not that good. So we're like, oh, well, if I'm not as good as that guy, there's no competition, I shouldn't even try. So that's the pain and where that comes from. It's the fear of judgment. It's the fear of shame. It's the fear of being kicked out. It's the fear of ostracization. That's why ostracization. It's why we do a lot of what we do. To be included and fit in with the group and find our place within the group as a valued member. Like somebody said to me the other day, they're like, men want to be needed. I'm like, men want to feel useful. It's not necessarily true that men need to feel needed, like they want to feel wanted. They just want to feel useful. They want to feel like they're contributing because we have an inherent sort of motor in our brain saying, I want to build, I want to create, I want to conquer, I want to do things. And when that is left unused, like a lot of guys feel that there's no purpose. They feel like they have no drive, that they're just existing and floating through space. And now it's really easy for guys to just exist and float through space because they can bury themselves in dopamine hitting activities like sports and drinking and porn and video games and all of these things, which is kind of what we'll talk about a little bit when it comes to the topic of this show. And again, man, and you guys kind of know this by now. If you've ever seen me doing any content, I keep my personal life pretty close to the chest. I don't really talk about my personal life. I don't answer a lot of personal questions. Like you'll see girls on the female POV show that is like, oh, like, are you in XYZ relationship? Or like, are you dating people? Or what's this like? Or what's your home? I really don't like to answer a lot of those personal questions about myself. One, because there's no reason to put people that I care about in any sort of harm's way and make them a target of internet harassment from fucking weirdos out there. And two, I just like, this is my choice in my life. And there's no, like, I don't want people to go out of, like, I guess it's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't want people to go out of their way and try to find people that I care about and subject them to bullshit. So and the second thing is that when people ask you those questions, it's very rarely coming from a place of genuine concern. It's almost always they're trying to use it against you, like as a gotcha. When I'll give a piece of a relationship advice, be like, are you married? And it doesn't like, cause I get that all the time. It's like, if I say yes, then it's like, oh, well, your wife probably fucking hates you, or like, yeah, right. Or your wife is probably tied up in a cage. She's probably, we need to call the cops. Like, we're going to SWAT you because the only way you could possibly have these views is if you have her tied up somewhere in your backyard. And then if I were to say no, it goes, well, you're not allowed to give an opinion then, or why should anybody take marriage advice from you if you're not married? Which I don't give marriage advice. But again, this is how dumb the average person is. And you guys well, the more you spend time online, the more dumb you'll see that people are. So people think this like social media shit is in a vacuum, but the fact that it's so easy to go to an app like TikTok, download it to your phone, and then just start watching videos and commenting, the barrier to entry is like fucking zero. It's really nothing. So when people are like, oh, real life isn't social media, it's like, dude, it fucking is. I'm sorry. And if you really want to black pill yourself on the average intelligence of the average person out there, go on TikTok and you'll want to blow your brains out. I'm telling you. Like you have to find a way to laugh at. Like you have to find a way to make it a joke. So my journey with this started almost 5 years ago at this point. It was, I would say, yeah, like 5 years ago and some change, where, if you guys don't know my story by now, go on my Instagram. I did a whole like 8-minute reel about it. I'm not going to rehash it here, but obviously when you go through some major metamorphosis and you go through some major change, you are now, again, like to get different results or to become different, you have to change what you're doing. And a lot of that means changing the people you're around and changing the people that you interact with. And it means operating in different circles. Now, I was never a guy that went through these changes and learned all these things and became good with women and became a leader of men and built a community. I was never a guy that turned my back on old friends. If I have guys that reach out to me that I haven't spoken to in like 10, 15 years, and they're like, hey, like, to give you an example, my football coach, a legend in the state of Virginia, just passed away, I think last weekend, about a week ago today, I think it was. And I got put in a group text by 3 of my childhood best friends, like guys I've known since I was 5 years old. And I'm just a regular, normal guy. Like I will talk to somebody pretty much the exact same. Like if I don't see you for 5, 10, 15 years and we haven't spoken, I'm just going to revert back to like us being buddy buddy and us being cool and us being friends. But there's some weird tune that often changes where it's like they just start speaking in this weird formal way. And it's so unfamiliar. It's like, dude, I know you. I've known you for 30 years. Like, why do you don't have to talk to me like you're an HR rep. But in any case, this was something that happened with obviously somebody very close to me. And this happened over the last, I would say, like 24 hours, I think it was 24, 48 hours. And this isn't the only instance. And the reason that I want to talk to you guys about this and the reason that I want to be open about this is because I do think it's important that if you guys are going to follow me or you're going to look at me through any sort of authority, I think it's good to share wins, but I think it's good to share losses as well. And I think it's good to share lessons. I just ask that, like, you just leave people out of it that are mentioned in this cast. Like, this has nothing to do with any of them. Again, there's nothing that I'm going to say this evening that I wouldn't say to this person already. They already kind of know how it is. But at the same time, there's just no reason to drag them into some online shit. So, a lot of you guys don't know this. This tattoo on my right arm, and that for the camera there, that's my dad. That's my father. He's still alive. He is late 60s. He'll be 68 in a couple of, I think like 6 or 7 weeks. And, married, had 2 kids, is a grandfather, not my kids. So you do the math. And was a firefighter, as you can tell, for a very long time. And then he did some traveling, going around the country, teaching different things to different, I actually still don't really know what he does. And maybe that's kind of my fault. And I understand all that. I think he's a teacher. He's an instructor for, a firefighting organization. And I'll butcher it. Like, I'm not going to pretend to know what he does because I don't really know. And that's probably part of the problem, which I'll own. But over the course of the last 5 years, our relationship went from very strong. At one point, I considered this man my best friend. And over the last 5 years or so, as I've grown and I've gotten to better circles and I've become the guy that I really want to be, or that I'm working on being the guy that I want to be, I've had to see a lot of things and I've had to open my eyes to a lot of things that I wasn't aware of and I wasn't privy to growing up. The biggest and most glaring factor and the biggest and most glaring thing that puts a strain on our relationship is his weight. Since I've been alive, I've known my dad to be overweight. He wasn't always overweight. I've seen pictures of him in like when he was 18, 20 couple and that sort of thing. But I've always known him to be overweight. And now that he's older, he's more overweight than he's ever been. He's not very tall. He's about 5'6". He's got to be north of 260, 80 pounds, something like that. And he's just always been overweight. And I've had conversations with him over the years, and I've had conversations where I've said, hey, man, you got to get this in check. You got grandkids. Don't you want to see them grow up and graduate high school or college or get married? Don't you want to live as long as you possibly can? And it's always met with the same thing. Like, when you have a conversation with somebody and you're like, hey, man, you really got to get this in check. And you got to this is really a problem. And they go, oh, I know. Yeah, I know. I got to do it. Yeah, I know. And it's just this. It's bullshit. It's lip service. And then like a year later or however long, you've seen them make no progress. You've seen them make no turnaround. There's nothing that they've done that's improved their situation at all. And the other thing is, and like, I don't care as much about this. And if you guys don't know by now, I've done a couple of shows on this in the past, but I used to be a big sports guy growing up. Played sports, loved sports, watched sports. I used to work in sports, okay? I was the sports guy. I wanted to be the GM of a fucking baseball team in the MLB. And then I started realizing how ridiculous the idea of sports fanatics and sports fandom really was. I guess it's not ridiculous because, again, Evo Psych, here we come. Finding a tribe, finding a commonality with a group of people, latching on to a group of people that have something in common. Like that's what we do. We find common ground. We say, hey, these are my people. They think, look, walk, talk, act like me. I'm going to gravitate towards them. That's why all this, let's not go there. But you can see how that prevails in modern society. When people are left to their own devices, they seek out people that are like them. So that's kind of the point of where I'm going with this. So he's always been a big fan of the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I know you guys don't know this. Before 2012, there were no Seahawks fans. They just didn't exist unless you lived in Seattle. Then they got Russell Wilson, and they got big, and they won Super Bowls, Legion of Boom, that whole thing. But that was always something my dad had. Like where I lived in Virginia, you were either a Cowboys fan, you were a Redskins fan, or for whatever reason, you were a fucking Steelers fan. But I think that's just because Steelers fans travel, and Pittsburgh was right up, whatever highway. But I think that was a thing that he says, like, I picked the Seahawks. That was when they were expansion team, is because I wanted to be different. I didn't latch on to the Redskins. I didn't want to latch on to these other teams, this sort of thing. And I'm not going to bore you guys to death with these details, but the point that I'm trying to make is that I have started and I've posted like on Twitter and Instagram and things like that. I'm like, yeah, sports are fucking gay, or like being in love with sports is like super gay. Saying my team won, or we beat you guys, or we need more help on defense, it's just the cringiest shit. And I've done it, and I'll be the first one to admit I've worn jerseys with other grown men's names on my back. I've done it as a kid, as a young adult, and I'll never do it again. But I realized growing up like how cringy being a fucking insane sports fan really is. And it's like, why would I want to watch other guys chase excellence? Why would I want to watch guys live out their dreams when I could be doing that myself? I don't want to be a spectator in someone else's awesome life. Like, I want to live my own life. I don't want to be, and that's also why I got into video games as a young kid, because you could be whoever you want on a video game. You could be a baseball player, football player. You could be a fucking Halo. Like, you could be a Marine. You could be a soldier. You could be, the possibilities are endless. It's infinite. But again, that's why I don't play video games anymore, because it's like, why would I spend all my time playing Grand Theft Auto, making all this money, like getting all these cars and doing all these cool things when I can, when I could do it in real life, right? Like, this doesn't mean anything. And the amount of time people will spend in front of a computer or in front of a TV to root for people or to play a game that literally nobody cares about. Nobody cares. There's not this like virtual audience that is watching you play video games. And it's like, you've won 100 Super Bowls in a row. Congratulations. Like, no one cares. There's not going to be a dude that knocks on your door. He's like, I'm here with your gold jacket. Welcome to the Madden NFL Hall of Fame. I've been watching all of your games, and you're the best Madden player in the world. So you get to do here are your accolades. Now, at the same time, I know there's esports and people think it's a real sport, which it's not. But again, I digress. So there's over the course of the last couple of years, rising tensions between us. We would go weeks, sometimes months without talking to one another. And then I think some resentment grew. I think that the kind of stuff that I was doing, the people that I was partnered with, the kind of content that I was either putting out myself or standing beside, which you could argue is an endorsement, right? Even though I'm not saying the words, if I'm on a podcast with somebody that's saying XYZ, then you could see that as an agreement and as an endorsement, right? Like, and I'll even say this, like, I'm not demonizing sports, I'm not demonizing video games. I think what's weird is the amount of time and investment that people really put into their vices. Like, you want to play some video games after work and cool down, whatever, man, cool, that's fine. But then don't turn around and complain to me that you don't have time to go work on a side hustle, or that you don't, you want to get in shape but you just can't find the time to work out, or your sleep is dog shit because you can't get to bed on time. And I'm like, but you play 2 hours of video games every night. Like, oh, you want to start a business, but you spend 14 hours a week playing video games, or 20 hours a week playing video games. Same thing. It's like you're going to spend an entire Sunday on your couch watching football. Not even your favorite team. It's like, oh, the 1:00 games, I'm going to watch those. Then the 4:00 games. I saw something with Bill Burr where he did an interview with Conan that made me think he's so gay for this. He's like, he records and tapes games. He watches the 1:00. On Sunday, he watches football all day. He tapes 3 games, right? So he'll watch Monday Night Football. He'll watch one of his taped games on Tuesday, one of his taped games on Wednesday. Then you got Thursday Night Football. He'll watch the 3rd taped game on Friday. And then Saturday, he watches college football. And then Sunday starts all over again. Like, dude, get a fucking life. I mean, I understand he's a world famous comedian. He's rich and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just like, if there's a guy out there that does that, like, I just can't even imagine. It's just so strange to me, just watching football. What? Whatever. I'm trying not to get off track here. The point that I'm trying to get at is that we've had some major philosophical disagreements on the way we live life and things like that. The biggest one, though, is the weight. I don't give a fuck about the sports. I don't really care. I got friends that are sports fans. I'm like, dude, that's fucking gay, but whatever. I think the weight is the biggest thing, because I've done topics and I will continue to do topics. And I did a freaking show the other day about, I did a reel on this that I'm going to put out there about, like, the halo effect, and how when you walk into a room, before you ever open your mouth, before you say a word to anybody, before you even extend your hand out to shake someone else's, they're looking at you, and they're looking at you. They're looking at your physique, the way you're dressed. That's your body, and your physique is your business card. It's your resume that speaks for you right off the bat. And just a quick rehash of the halo effect. If somebody sees a positive trait within you, like your body and your physique, they're going to assume that, and this is a psychological phenomenon. This is something, I'm not just making this up. Their brains assume that you are good or virtuous or positive in other ways. So when someone sees, and this is true, because if you've ever built a body, or you've ever gotten into good shape, or you've ever put on any muscle, you know what a long slog of a process that it is. Even doing it, if you're on gear, naturally, whatever, like, putting on muscle takes time, and it takes effort. It takes discipline. It takes repetitiveness. It takes consistency, and it's fucking boring. The most successful people in the world do a lot of stuff that's boring. That's why I always chuckle at these day in the life videos, because the only time you'll ever see a day in the life video of somebody is when they've got a lot of cool stuff planned. They're like, okay, 9 a.m. wake up. We've got this meeting with this blah, blah, blah executive. And then we're going to go to this special lunch with my inner circle. And then at 2 p.m., we're going to go train like Muay Thai. And then 5 o'clock, we're going to have a power dinner. And then 8 o'clock. It's like, you don't do that every day. Your day is fucking boring. Like, you wake up, you check your phone, you do your work, you eat your lunch. Maybe you go to the gym. But it's just funny. Like, this is not a real reality. That's why it's like, people are like, Muff, do a day in the life video. I'm like, nobody would watch it. I do the same fucking thing every day. Wouldn't you guys rather see me do stuff when I'm going on trips with the Brotherhood? Wouldn't you guys rather see me doing vlogs and doing cool, fun, interesting things? Why do you want to see me, like, get up and drink my coffee, eat breakfast, and, like, train Muay Thai, and then come back and work on my laptop or do reels? Like, nobody cares about that. Like, you're seeing the day in the life right now. This is what I do. I fucking make content on YouTube. I'm just a dumb guy with a good haircut and a talking head. So it's always been the weight. And you know how it goes, guys. If somebody says something, or you read something, even if it's not addressed towards you, and you have a knee-jerk reaction, you should probably listen to that. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, probably, when you're reading that, like, you're scrolling reels and someone's like, hey, if you're fat, you're lazy. if you have a knee-jerk reaction, it's probably because you're fat, probably because you're lazy, right? But if you weren't fat and you're not lazy, or it didn't apply to you, you just scroll on past. You're like, oh, that's not me. It's not going to affect me. I don't care what they have to say. So you would just scroll on past. But there's been things that I've said, and there's been things that have caused rifts. And it just came down to this issue where I don't reach out as much. I don't concern myself with my family's affairs, my father's affairs. He's coming up on retirement age. He's getting ready to retire. And I'm honestly worried about it. I've said this to him, and I've said this to other people in my circle. Like, I'm worried about what's going to happen to my dad when he retires, because he doesn't have hobbies. He doesn't have any pursuits outside of working. He spends the vast majority of his time around women and children and my brother-in-law. And I'm not going to say anything about my brother-in-law, but if he ever sees this, he doesn't run the show. And he can't, I mean, there's just no argument there, right? Like, he doesn't run the show. He doesn't run that household, in my humble opinion. I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, he doesn't run the show. Combine all of that with being overweight and getting older, and what happens when both of those things happen. Where does your testosterone go? It goes in the absolute toilet. It goes under the basement. It goes underground. It goes into the core of the earth. And then when you have no testosterone, you start having emotional arguments. You start talking about feelings. You start talking about, this makes me feel some type of way. You start talking about my truth as opposed to the truth. And the sobering thing after this hour conversation that we had, where we essentially got nowhere, and it was this weird tug of war of like accountability, and it's your fault, and you don't care, and you never call. Well, you don't live your life in a way that I would prefer. So what do we have in common? And, this idea, and I'm going to put words in his mouth, and that's unfortunate, but this is really how I viewed the situation, where it's like, basically, I'm your dad, I'm your father, so whatever I say goes, because me being your dad never ends. And at the same time, you want me to be a peer, like you want me to be an adult. So it's okay, and it's convenient for you to treat me like a child when you want to tell me what to do, when you want to lecture me, you tell me how to live my life. But when I then continue to act like a child would, where it's more of a take of the relationship and not a give back, that's a problem. So, and I'm paraphrasing, and I'm kind of just trying to paint the picture for you guys. So it's very tough, because it's sobering when you find out that the person that you looked up to the most, the person that was your hero, the person that you literally have, you guys didn't see this yet, if you're just tuning in, the person that you have tattooed on your fucking body no longer is that North Star for you, is no longer of that stature. And not because you don't love them, but just because they have now become the kind of person that I don't want to spend time with. They've become the kind of person that I wouldn't have in my inner circle. They've become the kind of person that I would not want to have a conversation with. And the only thing that ties us together is blood. And a lot of people out there think that's good enough. And I think that's a bad way to look at life. And I think that's a bad way to look at your circle. Because if there's somebody that you're never allowed to cut loose, if there's a person out there that you're never allowed to walk away from, and you have to have them as a part of your life no matter what, because this is a major sentiment that a lot of people have about family. They think that just because they're your family, that's it. They raised you and you're stuck with them. And no matter what, even though you had no choice in being raised, or you had no choice in how you were being raised, and regardless of how good or bad maybe your childhood was, there seems to be this expectation that family is everything. And I know it differs from culture to culture, but think about that from a logical standpoint for a second. It's just like women. It's like, if you have a person who is never going to be held accountable, who never has to take responsibility, who is always going to be taken care of, and always going to be seen as the victim in any situation, regardless of their actions and their hand in it, what incentive do they have to act right? If this person is your family member and you're not allowed to cut anybody loose because they're family, what incentive do they have to try to maintain a good relationship with you? Or what incentive do they have to try and act in a way that is beneficial to you. They don't have to. And what happens, I think, and Hormozy talks a lot about this, and he got a lot of heat for this, but I really like that video where you could this is why I don't go home for the holidays. And I think it's really good. And I've started to align more with him and align more and more with him on this issue and on this topic. And I was thinking about this the other night, and I was talking to a buddy about this, and it's like, here's the crux of the real issue. The amount of time, energy, effort, resources, emotional, I hate to use this term, but like emotional energy or emotional bandwidth or just energy and bandwidth, because you only have so much bandwidth during the day, right? Like you only have a certain amount of things you can give a fuck about. Like if your fuck meter is 0, like you just don't care. You have to allocate what you fucking care about. You have to allocate your energy to the things that you care about, right? So to right the ship and to repair the relationship, or to get the relationship to a point where this person wants it, it would take so much time, effort, energy, and resources that it would actively pull me away from my purpose, and it would pull me off of my path, and it would divert me from where I want to go, which is to win and to succeed. I listen to guys that have crushed it and have been at the pinnacle of things. Like Jay Cutler very famously said, when I was training for the Olympia, I lived in a box. I did the same thing every day. I didn't talk to anybody. Somebody calls me and starts complaining about their lives and a problem, I hang up on them. I just don't have time for it. Like I have no time, energy, or bandwidth to allocate to anybody or anything that is going to pull me off of my path and is going to try to distract me or suck resources and time away from me and my goals, because it's my life. It's not theirs. And that's how you got to look at it. It is your life. They don't live their life in a way you would prefer. You don't live your life in a way that they would prefer, and that's okay. But it's a lot of time that's not enough. And what I found, and again, I'm not saying that I've come up with all of these. I'm just agreeing with what some guys have said before, but I've noticed it in my own life and I've seen it play out in real time, where there are people that will try to demonize the things that you do. And you might wonder why. It's like, dude, why are you hating on me? Why are you telling me that it's not a good idea? Why are you telling me to go back and be a soul-sucking, go to a soul-sucking 40-hour-a-week cubicle monkey job? Why are you telling me to play it safe? Why are you telling me to do these things that, are making me fucking unhappy and painfully depressed? And what you'll find is that most people don't want to see you succeed at all, because people are petty and jealous creatures at their core. Most people want to see you fail. Okay. Even people you think are the closest to you, they're probably rooting against you more than a random stranger, of course. And a lot of people don't want to address that. They don't want to think about that, but that's the reality. But the reason for that is because these people picked a path and they're on that path. And most people, especially if they're older, their path is set. They can't go back in the story, right? They've chosen their life path and they've gotten to where they are and they're on the back nine, right? It's like, and that's what a lot of people think. They get to a certain age and they start to pack it in. They just kick their feet up and they're like, hey man, like now it's just time to enjoy retirement, enjoy the rest of my life, whatever. Fine. And they're happy with their choices and they're satisfied for where their life is and they're content with their choices. They think they made good decisions. They're like, you know what? I did pretty good. I lived a pretty good life, pretty happy with what I did, pretty satisfied. And then when they see somebody that is doing better than them, that is maybe making more money, maybe has a better relationship or relationships, maybe has a better, more prestigious job, has more freedom, has more financial flexibility, has more status, whatever that might be, that is a threat to them. Not directly, but that's indirectly a threat because they look at you and say, hold on a minute. If this guy did everything the opposite of me, if this guy did all these different things that I did, and not only was he successful, he's more successful than me, then holy shit, that must mean I made a mistake somewhere. I made some fuck up somewhere. Maybe I was completely wrong about how to live my life. And now I can't go back in the story and I can't do anything about it. And that can really mess up somebody's brain. And so they are trying their best. We talk about crabs in the bucket. They want you to stay at their level. Or in a family situation, a lot of your family and friends, they don't care about you staying at their level. They want you to stay at the level that they're comfortable with, the box that they've placed you in. because your reputation carries with you. And that's why like you'll never hear from old friends again, or that's why you'll have random people like unfollowing you or talking shit to you, which has happened to me. Like guys that I would call, right? Guys that if they called me in the middle of the night and they're like, hey man, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but you know, I'm in a pinch, blah, blah, blah. I'd probably be like, yeah, dude, I'm happy to help out. Guys that are just like walking away from you or that you hear talk shit about you behind your back and you didn't even do anything to them. All you did was live your life in a way that they didn't prefer, but it's a threat to them. They think you're personally threatening them. And you think that your way of life, they just don't want to see it because they're like, I don't want to see this guy crushing it and killing it out there and doing better than me. Like, listen to the way Moff talks about women and he's doing so much better than I am. And I'm sitting here with a fat wife and 3 crying kids that a bra that doesn't respect me. And they can't handle it. And I'd be like, yeah, dude, that sucks, but that's your life. And I'm not the guy that's like, haha, I'm better than you. Somebody's going to have to like screenshot that. It's going to be my new thumbnail for this show. But it's like, I've never got on a high horse and been like, hey, motherfucker, like, you're a dumbass if you get married. Like, you're an idiot if you do this. I might rip on you for something like, yeah, dude, you're fat. You need to lose weight. And here's the thing. You guys may or may not remember, I used to be fat. I used to be fat as fuck. At my heaviest, I was 260. 260. And I've got pictures, I think, still on my Instagram. I always forget which side to point on. Where I was big, where I was like huge. And I'm down to 190, 191. I'm trying to get another 10 off. So wait for that reveal. I got abs now, just in case you guys are wondering. I didn't have those a long time ago. But dude, I remember having a conversation with my dad where I was like, genetically, I'm just never gonna have a 6-pack. He's like, yeah, probably not. Right? Always been overweight. I didn't start getting into weightlifting until my 20s. I remember there's a very specific moment. My dad was a firefighter. I was over there with my mom and my sister. We were dropping off dinner or something like that. And they had, in the engine bay, they've got a little mini gym. They got a weight set. They got like a lat pull down. I don't know, it was a long time ago. It was like rinky dink Nautilus shit. I was like, oh, like it was cool. I'd never seen anything like that before. I was like, what is this? He's like, oh, guys lift weights and like get pumped up. I'm like, oh, do you ever like lift weights? You ever train? I was fascinated. I thought it was cool. She was like, no, I hate lifting weights. Lifting weights sucks. So guess what I, in my 8-year-old brain, thought for like the rest of my childhood and adolescence? Lifting weights suck. The guy that I love more in this world and the guy that I look up to more than anybody on this planet thinks lifting weights is gay and it sucks. So what do you think I'm going to think about lifting weights? Until it's like, I'm tired of being skinny fat. I'm tired of not being jacked. I want to lift. I want to be in great shape. I want to get chicks to look at me. I want to be fucking strong. I'm going to go get in the gym. And I was just like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing ever. I love this. This is amazing. I love training. I love lifting weights. I love being strong. I love doing this. It's fucking awesome. Like, this is the best thing ever. And so that's kind of where we are now, man. And he made this thing where he was like, and it's kind of weird to be this reductive about it, but he's like, you don't give me the same level of respect, or you don't take the things that I say into consideration, or you don't care about this relationship as much with me because I'm overweight. And it sounds so crazy because you're like, man, it's your fucking dad. It's all this kind of stuff. But it's not just the fact of being overweight. It's everything that being overweight represents. It's a lack of discipline. It's a lack of control. And it's, how can I take somebody seriously who doesn't even take their own health and body seriously? And you guys know by now, what is my fucking brand, guys? It's right there on the fucking wall. Do the work. Do hard shit. Go through things. Lose the weight. Callous your mind with doing hard mental and physical things. You guys see how much I train. You see how much I work out. You see when I go on these retreats and these excursions with the brotherhood that we're doing something. We're not just like sitting around clinking our glasses with dinner. Yeah, we like to get dinner after we've worked hard, but we always are going to the gym and training, or we're going to do jujitsu or some sort of Muay Thai class. When I take guys on these trips, we're training, we're shooting, we're running and jumping, we're doing obstacle courses. We're training in the off season to get ready for the meetup season. Like, it's getting ready to be a meetup season. I'm like, yeah, you guys better get ready because we're training with SEALs out in fucking Coronado in July. We're training with SEALs coming up in April down here we're getting ready to train with pro fighters down here in Tampa in March. We're doing all of these things. We're going to be going and we're going to be paddling and portaging canoes and heavy packs 80 kilometers. Like, get ready. This is where you figure out who the fuck you are. And so, how am I supposed to put all that aside? How am I supposed to want to invest time and effort and energy into a relationship that is the complete opposite of that? That is all about comfort and all about feelings and all about, I just want to have my dopamine. And this was an exact quote. And again, it's hard to say this stuff out loud. Don't get me wrong. And maybe I'll regret this stream. Maybe I won't. Like, honestly, I feel bad that I'm doing this, but it just is what it is, man. He said, I'd rather be surrounded by nice guys than tough guys. And it's like, some of the toughest guys I know are also the nicest and coolest guys that I know. I would much rather be surrounded by a guy who I know is tough than a guy who I know is nice. I don't know if this nice guy is going to be able to do the things he says he's going to do, if he's going to be able to mentally and physically apply himself, if he actually is going to be somebody that's going to have my back. You guys know enough about nice guys. Nice guys are the worst people in the world, like basically male feminists. Nice guys are the first guys that will throw you under the bus when they don't get what they want. They're the first guys that turn on women when they get rejected. It's not the guy that's been laid 1,000 times that gets mad when a girl tells him no. That's why it's so funny when women come and yell at me and they're like, oh, wow, you're scary. You're probably a predator. It's like, dude, I've gotten laid far more than any guy that you've ever spoken to, most likely. And so it's like, to say, like, you need to be looking out for the guys that aren't getting laid. You need to be looking out for the guys that are calling me names and that are telling me that I'm dangerous or whatever. Because those guys are actually dangerous. They're just trying to throw you off their trail. That's how they weave their way in. But everything just harbored around feelings. It was, you don't care about my feelings. You're going to ask about my feelings. It hurts my feelings. I'm comfortable. I don't want to do the hard things. I don't need to. It goes back to this. I don't have anything to prove to anyone. I'm very content. I'm very happy with my lifestyle. It's like, well, yeah, it's like, guess what, man? Like, I'm not happy or content with your lifestyle. I wouldn't trade places with you. Why would I take your advice? When the fundamental thing that I'm about, doing the hard work and doing the hard shit to grow and get better, I know guys that are in their 50s and 60s that are still doing hard shit. There's 80-year-olds running fucking marathons and doing Ironmans and stuff like that. Like, age is never an excuse. And really what it boils down to, man, when you have somebody that refuses to lose the weight here, for their family and for their health, here's what they're telling you. And this is the saddest part of all. That person loves food more than they love you. That person, because think about it, it all goes back to very basic human principles, guys. You can tie so much of human behavior back to very, very easy to understand foundational baseline principles. There's something that goes on. There's something in psychology, again, where it's people are, I want to make sure I get this right. People would rather hold on to what they have rather than risk losing that to get something better. And I look at that as getting in shape. And it's like, guys, I've been both. It's like, talk to somebody who's been fat and then who's gotten in shape and ask them what they prefer. I would take being in shape every fucking time, every day of the week. I would never choose to be fat over being in shape, ever, in a billion years. It's like, if you see this tweet, I didn't kill myself. Like, that's the level of, like, if you see this tweet, just know it's like, hey, what text message would you send or what tweet would you send to alert people that you're being held hostage? It's like, I'd rather be fat and out of shape than in shape and jacked any day. It's so much more comfortable and better, and I just feel so good. Nobody would buy that. Be like, all right, this guy's got a gun to his head. Let's go get him. And it's just sad, man. And it's just like the idea of having to give up food, the idea of having to give up the comfort of that to achieve something better, the idea of having to sacrifice. And I saw this great tweet from Tate the other day. I can't remember who he was responding to. And it's like, I think some guy was like, why is it that it might have been GSP, I think, Georges St. Pierre, the fighter. And it was like, why is sacrifice make what you sacrifice for so silly? Or it's like, why do only the best things come to you through sacrifice? And Tate was like, because You're doing what so few people would do to get what so few people are going to get. And that's what makes it valuable. If everybody everybody can get ripped. Everybody can. And before you dumb motherfuckers come in here, but no, I have a thyroid problem. Shut up. Anybody can pretty much get ripped. It's easier for some people. It's harder for some people. Everybody has a different starting point. Everybody has a different, profile as far as body comp and things like that. But if you just follow the basic laws of energy balance, like calories in, calories out, anybody can get ripped. Lift weights, eat protein, anybody can get ripped. Some people, like I said, longer than others. I digress. But it's the simple act. Just because you can get it doesn't mean you will. Like, you could go mine Bitcoin if you wanted to, but you won't. You could go start a business if you wanted to, but most of you won't. You could go and draw amazing, healthy boundaries and live life completely on your terms and only invite people into it that you want to be around and only have a woman that's 100% on your program, because that's, in my opinion, the best way to live a relationship and live life, but you won't because you're a pussy. And that's really what it boils down to. So if you're unwilling to sacrifice things, there's no virtue in that. There's no virtue in getting something that you didn't have to pay for, that you didn't have to exchange. This is people, and people don't even value shit they get for free. Do you guys know how many free school communities that I've tried and started? Like 3 of them at this point. I'm like, hey, like, come on in. It's free. You guys can just hang out. And everybody's like, oh, amazing. It's free. I get to like talk all this cool stuff and go do Zoom calls and like get all this great content. It's for free. Oh my God, I can't wait. And then they never use it. They log in once and then they fucking just leave it there because they don't value it, because they didn't have to pay anything. They didn't have to give up anything of value because you're just giving it away. That's why when's the last time you got something for free and you're like, wow, that was a great value. That was a great deal. Like, why do they hand out, like when they hand out stuff at games, why is it always just dog shit quality? It's like free t-shirt day. It's like, who gives a fuck? The t-shirt is like from fucking Taiwan and it's scratchy and you're never going to wear it. It doesn't fit. And it's shitty plastic, like polyester material. It's dog shit. And who knows? Maybe you slap a $20 sticker on it. Then there's an old tweet I saw. Maybe it's a meme. I don't know. It's like this guy had this couch sitting in his front yard for like a month, and it said "free couch, please take it." And then after a month, he said "couch." He changed the sign and said "couch, $100." And the next morning, it was gone. People don't value what they won't pay for. They won't value what they won't sacrifice for. And here's the worst part. I didn't even talk about this. He's on the drugs, guys. He's on the GLP-1s. He's on the one for blood sugar, though. He's not on the one that works. He's on the one that's like a GLP-1 blood sugar combo. And I was like, why don't you just get on the good GLP-1, the one that actually makes you lose weight? Well, because my blood sugar spikes. Why don't you stop eating fucking food that makes your blood sugar spike? It's always the same bullshit. It's always the same excuse. And this is something that a lot of you guys are going to have to learn. This is something a lot of you guys are going to have to go through. Most likely, your hero is not the exception to the rule. If he is, good for you. Love it. If you grew up learning about hard work and sacrifice and the realities of the world that we live in, the realities about women, the realities that there's no such thing as fair. When I was originally going to do my topic at the forum, it was going to be like lessons I was taught that I think are dumb and like what I would teach my son instead. And there's still a couple of them, and I might do it. I mean, I don't know if dumb is the right word, but there's things that I were taught that I would not teach my son. One of them is like in terms of violence. I was always taught as a kid, never hit first. Don't ever start the fight. So some kid comes up to you and shoves you, you tell him to stop. If he shoves you again, then you can hit him back. And it's like, So I have to hope that I don't get knocked the fuck out. This guy gets 2 free shots at me before I'm allowed to retaliate, before I'm allowed to respond. I'd tell my son now, I'd be like, hey, if this dude gets within an arm's reach of you and he's walking up on you, knock his fucking ass out. You don't have to tell him to back up. You don't have to tell him to go away. If that dude starts walking up on you, get his ass, fucking drop him in his fucking jaw. And I guarantee he won't do that shit again. And nobody will fuck with you ever again. But if these guys know you won't start a fight, or you guys won't hit first, or you'll wait to get hit twice before you fucking do anything, insane, man. Absolutely insane. So this is a bit of a sobering moment for me, guys. This is a bit of a I don't know what the future is going to hold. To sit here and say I don't want a relationship with my dad going forward is not the case. I don't know where it goes from here. I don't see if there was going to be any changes in the relationship, if there's going to be any reassertion of effort, it would come from my side. It wouldn't come from him. If he called me right now on the middle of the stream, he's like, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm watching your bitch ass. How about this? I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. Shove it up your ass." I'd be like, "Great, I'll call you every week. I'll call you every fucking week. I'll check in with you. I'll put you in touch with a coach. We'll go through your macros. We'll monitor your activity. I'll coach you into losing 50 pounds for fucking free because that's worth it to me. That's worth my time, effort, and energy. You taking yourself seriously, you taking your health seriously instead of just blowing it off because you're afraid to eat some fucking salad, because you're afraid of giving up your cake. Like, dude, when you get it, I still eat cake and cookies and sweets and shit all the time, dude. All the fucking time. Nobody loves crumble cookies more than me. I fucking love that shit, dude. 1,200 calories a cookie, I don't care. I'll eat 4 of them. Give me that shit. I don't give a fuck. But I have abs and I train my ass off because I know how to do it in moderation and I know when to pick my shots. And I know if I'm going to be traveling, I'm not going to eat. If I know that I'm going to be going to a steakhouse later, probably going to skip breakfast. I know how to schedule and structure my day. Like, I live a great life. I enjoy everything that I do. I don't ever feel like I'm on a fucking diet. I don't eat kale and fucking broccoli and chicken, like boneless, skinless, flavorless chicken and fucking brown rice. I don't do that shit. I eat what I want because I train my ass off. There's all these ways to do it. And when you deal with people that are only dealing in the extremes and they're talking about the false dichotomy of, well, I'd rather be fat and happy than be under 10% body fat and be a fucking douchebag. I'm like, why are those the two options? You could be a fat fucking douchebag. Here's the deal. I know a lot more fat fucking douchebags than I know in shape douchebags. Tell you that shit right now. Fat motherfuckers are annoying because they're projecting all their bullshit on you. Because you are what they wish they were, but they don't have the fucking balls to do the work. So they have to pretend like they don't want it. Sour grapes is so rampant in our society, guys. Like, it's become more and more prevalent. Anytime you hear somebody demonizing something, it's just a reflection of them. It's just projection. That's really all it is. They're like, it's like when women say, we don't want jacked guys who are obsessed with the gym and all they do is talk about creatine and protein shakes in their meal prep. And it's like, those guys exist like by the dozens, not by the thousands. It's like, don't worry. First of all, you're not attractive enough to get that guy. And two, like, that guy probably doesn't even exist. Like, you think that everybody in shape is just obsessed with fitness. There are plenty of people that are in great shape that are not obsessed with it at all, that have great hobbies and that can find that can cheat on their diet or have a cheat meal. Like, this whole dad bod thing. We love the dad bod. We want a guy that enjoys our cooking. I love a woman's cooking. I don't have a fucking dad bod, right? So you're fucking wrong. It's all projection. It's all sour grapes. It's all these false dichotomies. And it's better. You just don't even listen to it. You don't need to correct people. Just don't. It's a waste of your fucking time, guys. Just don't bother with it because it doesn't matter. These people will endlessly move the goalpost because whatever they feel is correct, even when it's staring at them in the face logically that it's incorrect. It's like the question, if I were to like post a picture with a girl, if I were to be in like, if some girl was like, do you have a girlfriend? Like, let's say for this fact of this, I do. Oh, well, she's probably fucking ugly because this is the way you talk to women. It's like, actually, she's gorgeous. Like, she's better looking than you or any other girl that you know. And here's a picture and she's gorgeous and she's fucking much cooler than you. And she like cooks and cleans and does all the shit that I ask her to do and never complains. Yeah, that actually doesn't exist. You're fucking lying. Like, no, here's an actual picture. You probably hired a girl to like take pictures with you. And now you're claiming that's your girlfriend just because it's never ending. It's never fucking ending. Like, nope, here's her on video, like telling the world that she's my girl and she's in love with me and that she worships the ground that I walk on. Yeah, you probably like had a gun to her head on the screen, just off to the camera. So there's no way this is true. That's it. Like, you will never win with these people. You'll never win with them. And what do they say? Like, if you can't win, don't play. Right? Like, the only way to win Comment if you guys know what this is from. I want to see, like, what is this, guys? The only way to win is to what? To not play. So there's going to come a time you're going to have to cut people loose, man. And here's the deal. A lot of people are going to cut you loose before you got to cut them loose. They'll be so uncomfortable and they'll be so disgusted with themselves and the path that they're on that they'll block you, they'll cut you off, they'll stop talking to you, stop texting you because your very presence reminds them of their own insecurities and their own inadequacies. And you don't have to apologize to that. That's their fucking responsibility, guys. You don't have to apologize for living the life that you want to live. If the people want to get in the fucking car with you, great. If not, they can fuck off. I've never said for once in one time that the way that I live my life is the best way. It's the best way for me. It's the way that I want to live it. But I've never said, if you don't live your life this way, you're a complete dumbass, go fuck yourself. At the same time, I have a community. I have a tribe. I have a group that I spend all my time with. I don't hang out with people that I don't see eye to eye with. I don't think that diversity is our strength. I don't care about opposing views. I don't care about hanging out with people that I don't have things in common with. Why would I spend my time doing that? Why? Because some fucking liberal white lady thinks that I should? Because some dumbass is like, oh, we're all a melting pot. Like, we all should care about each other the same. Shut up. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hog hunt, guys. Sorry I couldn't. Sorry I wasn't. I really wish I would have came, man. It looks like you guys had a great time. Yeah. Brotherhood guys had a hog hunt down in Texas. Next time we're going to do it shooting out of helicopters. We're going to be mowing them down out of the chopper with ARs. It's going to be great. So that's where we're at, man. Like, you're going to lose people. And I'm going to rip this off Tom Hardy. He did this, sometimes you got to prune yourself, or sometimes you have to cut off a bit of yourself in order to grow, because you're just going to keep you trapped. And it could be the people in your circle, even your closest family members, your parents, your brother and sister, your kids. They can be the anchor that can hold you down underwater that eventually leads to you drowning. And it's purely selfish. And it's not because they want the best for you. And it's not because they think that they have, it's like, I'm trying to impart these lessons on you so you didn't make the same mistakes I did, but you don't live in the same world as me. Somebody that was 30 years old in the early 2000s has no idea what it's like to be 30 years old in the year 2026. The world is completely different. Dating is similar, and women and men, our brains are largely unchanged, but the societal pressures, access to technology, the things that we talk about, time is a flat circle, don't get me wrong, but there are just complexities with the way that we deal with things and the way that we grew up. Like, and it really depends on what you're good at. You could sit here and say, like, dating apps ruin dating. But the only guys I really hear say that are the guys that suck with dating apps. There's some guys that are really good with dating apps and like, dating apps are the greatest thing to ever happen because I'm cleaning up. So again, that's always something you guys should think about. It's like, dating apps suck, or this is gay, or this is retarded, this sucks. It's like, yeah, you probably are not really good at it then. You're probably just sour grapes. It all comes back to that. You're trying to demonize this thing, so that's the problem, and you're not the problem. You're going to have to prune people. You're going to have to cut people off in order to grow, if that's your number one priority. And maybe not. And maybe you might be a person where it's like, you know what? It's worth it to me to keep the relationships with these people than it is to grow past where I would be if I didn't cut them off. And that's a personal decision that you guys have to make. Like, I'm not sitting here and telling you guys what to do. I'm not sitting here to cut your parents off. I'm just saying that there's going to be people in your life that you look up to. There's going to be people in your life that you see as your heroes, the people that you really care about, and that you're going to like to think that they are the exception to the rule. You're going to like to think that they believe in the same things, or they see the same world you do, or that they could potentially be convinced to come along to your side because the bond you have with them is so strong that they could come to the light and they could see it. And I've been doing this long enough to tell you guys that that is just not going to happen. If they don't go through it on their own, they just won't see it. They just won't see it. And you should not look at that as a negative thing. You should look at that as a positive thing, because it's not your job to save everyone. You save who you can, and the ones that refuse to be saved, you read them their last rites and you move on. It's not your job to save people. It's not your job to bring people along. It's your job to go in the direction that you want to go in. It's your job to go and do the mission that you want to do, not that somebody's placed on you. You don't have any inherent duties to fulfill. You don't have any inherent purpose that somebody ordained on you. If you're a Christian or you're religious, maybe you think that's true. I don't personally think it is. I think you got the freedom to choose and decide whatever your mission, passion, purpose is. And you can choose to follow that and chase that to your heart's desire. And you should. Because mission and purpose is what gets men up in the morning. Having a North Star is what gets guys hammering that shit every single day and always working towards something. It's what's going to keep you alive. It's what's going to keep you mentally sharp. It's going to keep you physically fit, having something to work towards and a reason for doing something every single day. So figure out what that is. And you get to decide. Nobody else gets to decide your purpose for you, especially the people closest to you. Because if you leave it up to the people closest to you, they're just going to choose it for you, and it's going to be the closest thing that they chose because that's all they know. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Make sure you tune in an hour. We're going to have the ladies on tonight for the female point of view. Spencer is off this week. It'll be me and TC with a new group of girls. No repeats, nobody that we've had on before, so that's exciting. And then tomorrow, make sure you guys tune in for Navigating Modern Dating, Episode 1 with me and TC as your hosts at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you're liking the video. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on my socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And I'll see you guys next week.